Hello, hypothetical viewers. It is me, the country warrior, once more, gracing your magnificent ears with the luscious sound of my voice. In fact, we're going to be doing a lot of that today. This is Night Call, a game set in, as you might have guessed, from the conspicuous tower in the background, Paris, where you play a night shift taxi driver who has a bit of a penchant for getting people to talk to him. Sometimes that comes in handy. Sometimes that might just get him into more trouble than it's worth. We'll be seeing his story, how it plays out as a serial killer stalks the streets of Paris. Let's head right in. I played this originally on the Xbox, believe it or not. I got it for PC because it was cheap and I love this game. And also have way more options than I did back then. Something I'm semi-familiar with, but it's been a while, is The Judge. I've not done those two, but I undoubtedly will at some point. Right now, we'll start with The Judge. Victims have all something in common, and the motives seem clear, but which suspect could have done it? Balance case, perfect for a first run, which is what we will be doing today. We're going to go with the balanced route, as much as I enjoy just straight up reading a story to people. I figure we might want to go for a balanced approach. Can't make it too easy on myself. This game will mostly be me reading at you. Hope you don't mind. Admittedly, it's one of my favorite things to do when it comes to story-based games. A low story I can just read out loud. Do the voices. Feel their feelings. Intoxicating. I love it. Night Call. Muffled noises. Here. Sir, can hear me? Or do I need to speak up? Yes, speak up. Is this okay with you? Is my voice loud enough? Not so loud. Very well. Does this work for you? Yes. She takes a deep breath. Sir, you just spent 2 weeks in a coma. The word bounces around your head. You need a moment to understand its meaning. Coma. The word scratches along your throat. Yes, you were the victim of an assault. The word resonates in your head. Victim. You are aware a serial killer is currently on the loose in Paris. You feel the contents of your stomach crawling up your throat. The judge, as the police call the killer, assaulted you. The bullet touched your liver, and in most circumstances it would have been fatal. We chose to put you in an induce. Her voice becomes more distant, fades. You taste bile at the back of your mouth. Your head is burning. You hear a whistle in one ear. Your fingers move to your wound. Underneath the bandages, you can feel hard skin. It is incredibly painful. I'm sorry? Did they catch the judge? No. What about my passenger? He was dead before you even got out of your cab. The doctor is silent for a second. A very awkward second. She hesitates. The police would like to see you soon as possible to ask you some questions. After all, you're the only one who survived the judge. Noise in the hallway attracts your attention. You try to turn your head, to no avail. You need to rest. She leaves the room. Her voice resonates in the hallway. I don't care, he's the only witness. Another female voice joins in, a strong authoritarian voice. You can't clearly make out what she's saying. A strange feeling washes over you. It's not pain, not fatigue, some odd combination of the two. Before being in this hospital room, you'd never realized that anger was made up of a combination of pain and exhaustion. Anger, a feeling you know all too well. Days go by, and a month later. Night 1. Well, look, I've got a bit of a problem. A real problem, that is. You have a pounding headache. It's your first night behind the wheel since the attack. Are you listening to me? You catch your boss's eye in the rearview mirror. Yeah. He stares at you for a second or two without speaking. Sometimes I wonder what goes on inside your head. You always seem so far away. I'm listening. Okay. He's watching you closely, trying to make out what's going on in your head. You know I'm worried about you, don't you? I know. You're like a son to me, you know? I know. And you know he's about to tell you the story of his taxi fleet, again. When my father died and left me the store, I could have sold it. I could have retired, gone back to the old country. But I decided to start a cab fleet with the money he left me, to hire some guys from the neighborhood. And that's why I got 45 guys like you working for me. His hands flutter in the air, though none of them are any match for you. He smiles. His voice suddenly takes on a serious note. You want me to go over everything again? He points to the equipment on the dashboard, the meter, the GPS. You haven't been in a taxi for weeks. Maybe you do need a little refresher. Yeah, good idea. Right then. Well, first the map. You spot potential customers and try to guess where they'll be going. Then you decide. When a customer orders a taxi, if there's no one else around, you have to go pick them up. He shrugs. That's the way it goes. It's business. No problem. The other fare is you look at the map and decide whether or not you want to take them. And then, you drive. He flashes a quick mechanical smile. You know it well. When he talks about work, he talks about work. That's all. When your shift is over, we do the numbers, and his voice trails off as if searching for the right words. And that's all. It's pretty simple. There's no reason why you can't do it. Oh, right, no overtime. We're in France here, and there are rules, regulations. You might not see it that way, but no one likes having a driver who hasn't slept for 24 hours. He looks away. Something's been bothering him since he got into the cab. Anyhow, you know the ropes. You get it. I know you're gonna do a good job. What's the matter? Your boss keeps quiet for a while, as if he's hesitant to speak. And then, I don't think it's a good idea. You shouldn't be driving. The murderer is still out there, and we think he's gonna come back. For you. We. Your colleagues. I do too. Anyway, I'll let you get back to work. Every minute spent in your taxi is a minute lost. It gives you a smile, half ironic, half serious. Have a good evening. The sarcasm in his voice is palpable. Right. You have a good evening too. He'll spend the rest of the night dealing with problems and drivers. You wonder how and when the guy ever gets any sleep. Your boss opens the door next to the cab. You watch him cross the street and enter the fleet garage. A couple of colleagues are milling about. Taxis are coming and going. They all ignore you, consciously or unconsciously. You are branded. You sit there a moment, then turn the key in the ignition. The hum of the engine sends a tingle down your spine. It's impossible to describe how you missed that feeling. It's back to the night shift. Back to life. Despite the attack, despite it all. Alright. We are in. We are... we are on the job, so we gotta get to work. We got 327, not pounds. Euros? Does France use euros? I don't know. France has stuff going on right now. But, still, that's not a lot. So let's get to work. Nearest guy, we'll pick him up. A police car flies by and practically cuts you off. The flashing blue light blinds you. Sunny Telpa. $15. Good enough. It's money. You double park and wait for your passenger to slide into the back seat. He looks at you like he appreciates you and your taxi and gives you his address. You start driving. Your passenger doesn't make a sound for the next few minutes of the trip. It doesn't bother you. You have enough on your mind. You were overcome with a craving to smoke. You nod slowly and glance at your passenger. Calm and still, he seems far away. Saying things is important in this game, but you gotta say the right things. And you're not gonna know which one's the right things. You gotta go off vibes. And right now the vibes is silence. The silence becomes heavy. All of a sudden you feel a strange sense of camaraderie with your passenger. You look at him quickly in the rearview mirror. It doesn't look familiar at all, and yet it's like you know him. A second later, an outside light shines on his face at a weird angle. Looks like he's smiling. A few seconds later, you drive down his street. He straightens up a bit. You park in front of the number he gave you. He pays his fare without a word. The door opens slowly and he smiles at you. You can tell it comes from the bottom of his heart despite how uptight he is. You're a really swell guy. You weren't expecting that. By the time you collect your thoughts, your passenger is already far away. He disappears into a building. A moment goes by before you turn the key in the ignition. Got a tip? We'll be living off our tips. But luckily the money goes to us. I forget if they take a cut. But it doesn't seem like it. If only, right? This one's highlighted. I think that means it's important. He also just happens to be the closest one we've got. Hey, pal, can you help me out? $27, that's not bad. You can see in the top right corner how much time it is expected to take out of your work night. I would say work day, but, well, you're on the night call, baby. Of course, also note that there is a fuel gauge. Run out of fuel. Car no go. Car stop go. Car no go no more. Best keep an eye on that. The door opens. It's Hervé, a homeless man like hundreds of others in Paris. You've known each other for years, and every now and then he asks a favor of you to drive him someplace. As usual, he greets you quietly, though he always seems a little on edge. Hey, buddy, what's up, pup? He has a strange verbal tick that you've never really understood. You start the cab. You look into the rear view mirror, and you realize that the homeless man is clutching at his left side. Well, all right already, Freddy. Is everything all right? He gives you a vague answer. Yeah, sure, fine. A pause. You can't help making a face. You're really not looking that great. Don't worry. I got in a little fight last night with this guy, but that's all taken care of now. All taken care of. He smiles, revealing a row of bad teeth. Who was the guy? He doesn't seem to understand. Why, you know a lot of bumps and glitchy? Before you can answer. All you need to know is he took something that belonged to me and he paid the price. He closes his eyes a moment. So yeah, it wasn't all that bad. But if you let someone steal your stuff, you're done for, sure? You have to show him you're tough, that you're a big shot. He pulls a sour smile. Sometime later, your passenger clears his throat. You wouldn't happen to have a little something to drink, would you? You know, like they do in those newfangled cabs these days? Chauffeur-driven cars. Yeah, that's right? I don't have anything, sorry. He nods. I don't mean water, you know. You smile. I realize that. Nah, He sighs. Usually you're not such a pain. I'm worried. He opens his mouth to say something and stops short. Yeah, I know, man. Sorry. He gives you a black look. Questions, you know, I've got those morning, noon, and night. I'm sick and tired of them. He loses himself in thought. As you drive along, you see him struggling to keep his eyes open. They're more often shut than open now. Your passenger's head jerks back up. You really are a good guy, you know, yo. Your passenger gives you a sleepy smile. Hey, serious, you don't mind if I get a little shut-eye on the way, do you? You're not. Enjoy. It gives you a smile, but it's still a painful grimace. Next thing you know, he's sound asleep. You continue to drive in silence, soothed by the warm air of the car heater. You pull up in front of a nondescript gray building. Your passenger immediately wakes up and looks around. Shit, this is great, I'm first! Where are we? An organization that hands out clothes for winter. Heard they were going to open up a pause, he's searching for the right word. A new shop, you could say. And I am the first one, huh? When does it open? 2 days from now. Your eyes widen. Your passenger gives a little laugh. Don't worry, I have plenty to keep me busy. He passes pants pocket. I found some books, one on yoga, and then a book by that old handsome dude, you know, the guy who talks on the radio. It'll help pass the time. He gives you a tap on the shoulder. He reaches for the door and stops short, overcome with a spasm of pain. Fuck. You okay? Yeah, don't worry. Take care. She'll worry like that. I make do. He gives you a funny smile. A little forced, like you both know it's a big lie. He opens the door and climbs gingerly out. And, thanks for turning up the heat. That was nice. Next thing you know, he's disappeared down a dark side street. You sigh and start the cab. That's right, you're not going to make any money from Irv. I think it's just Irv. But he's a homie. We don't got to worry about that. I mean, we kind of have to worry a little bit about that, but... The door opens suddenly and a woman gets into the back seat. Ooh. You can't see that, but there's an achievement. 2% of the Passadex. A little codex of all the characters you can meet and interact with. Having a good night. For a second you freeze. It's one of the cops working on the judge's case. She grins at you. Her voice creaks. You remember seeing her at the hospital. Something already bothered you better there. You know, it's actually pretty crazy. For weeks I've been saying to myself, there's something off about you, something not so nice. I dug around, mulled it over, bugged all my fellow cops about it, because I was sure you lied to us. Let her keep going. She has a cold sneer on her face. I'm going to be frank with you. She leans over to you. I don't think you're the judge. Nah, I just can't picture it. She squints like she's trying to make you out from far away. Like you'd have gone to the extent of hurting yourself. Yeah, between us, it's a bit of a stretch. She stares at you. But not enough of a stretch for my chief to stop going on and on about you. Seriously, he talks about you all the time. If I don't know better, I think he has a crush on you. She smirks. No, I think he's more interested in your profile. In prison at 17, an icy chill fills your gut. And for murder, too. You open your mouth, but nothing comes out. Since you got out, you've kept a low profile, but you're lying about your name and your address. I checked. It's normal, you'd say. If they got word of your time served, no loan for your permit, no lease for your car, meaning no second chance at life. Her voice becomes softer, almost warm. I personally like guys who want a second chance. No, I like guys who fight for a second chance. Basically, I like guys who are willing to work for me. She leans forward, her shining cat-like eyes narrowing. My chief wants to go to the prosecutor with a first and last name with evidence. Actually, knowing him, he's not so hot on evidence. So, I'll give you info. Victims, suspects, medical reports, some photos that are a bit... She makes a gagging noise. You have to be discreet. Keep it between you and me. Interrogate, ask questions, dig around. I'm not a cop. She shrugs. Don't worry, you're already keener than half the squad. And don't forget, I'm not asking you to make an arrest and deliver the killer wrapped up with a bow in front of the station, okay? You're no Batman. You're just here to get me more information. She rummages around in her pockets for what seems like forever. Here, take my card. I'll call you in 3-4 days just to check in. We'll chat. And I'll let you know if I have any new info. She takes on a didactic, paternalistic tone, like she was giving you a list of recommendations for the 100th time. Don't get caught, don't get arrested. I wouldn't recommend trying to leave Paris. I know what you look like, and I know who your friends are. You can either be the solution or the problem, my friend. She takes a minute to scan your face, your emotions. If I have to, I'll go check in on you-know-who. Her smile is biting. That reminds me. She know you've done time? You shake her head. She snickers. Oh, my little dirtbag, you cover your tracks well. I did what I could. Yeah, if you say so. She sighs in a tired, exaggerated way. Try not to mess with me, man. If things don't go well, I'll turn you in. I'll send your pictures to all my friends in the media and every asshole in Paris. Your picture with your name on it. Your real name. Anyone close to you will have their places searched. They'll be put under house arrest, spend nights in jail. You have any idea how tense things are with that fucker's trial underway? You sigh. You know just what she's trying to get at. Come to think of it, your last names are almost the same. You could be brothers, actually. I'm nothing like that son of a bitch. She smiles. Let me tell you, with that face of yours and your handle, they'll welcome you with open arms. Now, we could say you have no right, but she's well aware of that. She takes on a serious tone, businesslike. I want to catch this killer personally. I want to drag him to court, ruin his fucking life, with a bang. I can't botch this case, you got me? And neither can you, right? Obviously. Well, great then, we see eye to eye. So you can just say you're my informant, my CI. He ripped open your gut, you saw your own insides, you were in a coma. Yeah, you have plenty of reasons to want to get back at him. She furrows her brow. Yeah, I think you're actually gonna do what I tell you to do. You investigate, ask questions, listen to all the rumors, and you come up with a list of suspects. She lays her hand on the door handle and freezes. Oh, right, and don't get fired. Without this cab, you're worth nothing to me. You glare at her. Fucking bitch. Yeah, whatever, if that makes you feel better. She puts her hand up and you can hear the words behind it. This conversation never happened. I'll make sure you get more intel tomorrow. I'll find a way. Till then, not a word to anyone, obviously. Not a word. The door opens, squeaks, and slams shut. You sit alone for a while, teeth clenched, dry-eyed, ears buzzing. Shit. On the back seat, the cop left a pile of papers. Shit. Key in the ignition. Motor running. Radio on, crackles, you turn it off and start driving. Talking to passengers might unlock new documents and clues for your investigation. You find it back at your studio after your shift. That's right. The story of our main character is... He got hit. He almost got assassinated. He almost got murdered by the serial killer prowling the streets of Paris. Unfortunately, he's got a bit of a record. Folks are really hankering to get a collar on someone, anyone. The judge, they call him. Trying to get anyone in jail for this. Maybe worse, but at least in jail for this. And unfortunately, he's just enough of a patsy to be a potentially viable fall guy. So he's got to make sure he's not the one going to court for this. His livelihood is on the line. His relationships with her is on the line. His job's on the line, but, well, that's just another thing to juggle in this crazy time. 6 clues discovered, available in your room. Take a second to enjoy the silence of your studio apartment. Outside, the city is slowly waking up. You can still hear the hum of the taxi buzzing in your ears. You throw the files Bussett gave you on the table. On the wall, you hung up the big corkboard where you used to pin up photos of your nephews. They've been gone since you got out of. Your plan is simple. Jot down all the pieces of evidence and connect them to the suspects. The guilty party won't necessarily be the one with the most evidence against them, but the one with the most compelling evidence against them. It's like you're building a story about each suspect, trying to understand their motives, understand how he or she got into the situation. Steps in the hallway. They stop in front of your door, then move away. You crack your knuckles and get to work. Investigation. We'll start by going over an autopsy report. We're going over the autopsies, going over the killer case, picture of crime scene 1, picture of crime scene 2, and the third. That's 3 kills on his belt, and us if you count us. All right. These are the clues we have. Not Irv, not our guy. I love nothing more than a cork board where you can put stuff to solve cases for. All right. Let's go over the suspects. Paul-Marie Fragonard. Height, 1.69 m. Retired cop, joined the police in 1977. Divorced from a judge. Born in the French Antilles, moved to mainland France in 1976. Hervé Graillou, oh, like Caillou, that whiny child from that PBS show. Was it PBS? I think it was. Height, 1.77 m, homeless man with an unknown background. Briefly worked for Charles Beaugrain, victim 2 in the 90s. Got health issues after Reichstag health scandal. A couple of arrests for breaking and entering. Well, you gotta eat. Claudia Campos, medical examiner in Paris, escaped from Argentina when she was young. Lost her parents to the Argentinian junta. The process. Salem Wadyan. Height, 1.75 m, well-known lawyer from Saint-Ouen. I'm not French. Defender on the Duar case. Defender of several molested kids in poor neighborhoods. Was a promising football player when he was 10. You wouldn't think he's a killer, but we'll get into why he's a suspect. Perrault Batas, 1.70 m, cop in Paris. Dad was a cop, financial affairs. Sounds like the most boring place to be a cop at. Died 2 years ago. The dad, not the suspect. Mom got health issues after Reichstag health scandal. That's got 2 of our guys. Got his mom and it got Hervé, which screwed up his health. Gay, in a relationship. Never discloses information at work. Can you blame him? Let's go over the evidence. Weapon, rare gun used in the 70s, which so far only matches source cop 2. Right. Which only fits with because it's a cop's gun from the 70s. He was a cop in the 70s. That's the one thing they have on him, aside from also a relative height of the killer, but it counts for all of them, so we're not going to worry about that one too much. Message on crime scene 2 is "You deserve this," which, source from a cop, someone who was at the scene and saw it written out, which would imply that this is someone who potentially has a justice angle, or maybe we'll get to justice in a second, a justice angle, or they were wronged in some way. Of these individuals, both Hervé and Perrault could be considered to have been wronged by an individual. Picture of crime scene 1, justice, which implies we only have one individual who is a lawyer. Maybe he's into justice. Maybe the people he killed had stuff against them, particularly in the arena of kids who have been taken advantage of, who he has a special interest in defending. Maybe he decided to take it a step further. Victim number 3, there was no sign of violence. On the victim? Interesting. Killer left messages in shock on the first 3 crime scenes. Victims killed with 1 bullet in the neck. That's pretty... First off, that seems like violence. Oh, no. When it says no sign of violence, it means no sign of defensive violence. Meaning it wasn't a struggle. Maybe because he hit him with a bullet. In the neck, too. It's hard. It's kind of hard to come back from that. And killer knew the victims or researched them, which of course has something to do with the idea of. Oh wait, hold on. What does that do? Oh, I went to bedtime. Well, that's fine. I should have checked the thing. Hold right click to go night night. But no, maybe it's an individual who has a grudge against these people and also had the opportunity to know them. It was an execution style death. Just back of the head, right in the back of the neck. 1 bullet, job's done. It's pretty clean. We need more information though. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You open the sofa bed and lie down. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. And he sleeps. You open one eye. Your attention turns to shouting upstairs, a door slamming. Typical. You get up quickly. And a few minutes later, you're outside of your studio. Alright, let's see who's close. I think you're technically closer. There's also a thing over here. The night is young. Let's make use of that. A cigarette. You want a cigarette? No smoking on the job, my man. I think. I don't know. It's France. You park a few streets away from the Argentinian embassy. You wait there for your contact. You sigh. It seems so odd to have a contact. So excessive. The guy is one of your regulars poker buddies, a night watchman at the embassy. You get out of your taxi and walk towards the big metal gate. Clean lines, early 20th century maybe. Lots of wrought iron. The gate opens and someone moves toward you. They indicate you should follow them. The person's face is hidden by an oversized hoodie. Your heart starts beating faster. What if it was... No, follow. You walk into a narrow covered passageway, probably the entrance to a parking garage. The man turns around and lights up a cigarette. The lighter lights up his face for a second. A young man with curly hair, pale skin. He looks young. Very young. That'll be 250 euros. Aha, I was right. 250 bucks is a lot. We've got just under 350 to our name. But it might be good info. We'll just have to work a bit harder to pay it off. Oh. For that price, you hope the intel is good. You pay. Listen up, because I'm not going to say it twice. Gordischer is definitely a colonel from... colonel. I know how to say it right, but I said it as a joke. Colonel for so often, then it just turned into my default. Gordischer is definitely a colonel from the junta. One of the few who wasn't arrested and put on trial. He is responsible for torturing dozens of political opponents. He tortured and killed them. You know, we don't like him very much here. But the rich Argentinians in Paris love him. They really respect him. Respected him. The difference doesn't seem important to him. He's past tense, it would seem. Yeah, if it makes you happy. He looks back at you. There's one last thing. I read in the newspaper that the killer wrote a message in chalk. Time's up. It was a slogan at the end of the junta. A sort of watchword from the opponents. It was time for them to go. You get it? You nod. A second later, you're back in your taxi. With a hole in your wallet, but with new information on one of the victims. If you follow this lead, maybe your investigation will move forward. You start the car and get back to your shift. We're gonna have to make some money. Cat! That's gonna make... I want to... Is that a cat? It's definitely a cat. But the cat's not gonna make us any money. Unless it does, which would be hilarious. That's one of the suspects. It would take forever to get there. Would it be worth it? I love this map. I love a good city map. Let's trend that way. You happen upon the nighttime news. In a vox pop about the judge, a bystander brings up the fact that the police have still not arrested the homeless man seen near the crime scene. You raise an eyebrow at this bit of news. You didn't know that. As soon as the news is over, you turn the radio off so that the cab is silent again. Oh, okay. It's like a time passer. Got it. I'll just have to keep that in mind. No newspaper available. You can get it from gas stations, I believe. Well, we do need to do our job. A sign at the end of the street informs you something important happened here. You're too far away to make out the words. The plane Saint Denis, please. $13. It's fine. Yeah, it's money. Your passenger climbs into the cab and slams the door shut behind him. Good evening. Plane Saint Denis, please. He stops short, visibly sizing you up. Do you know where it is? You nod yes. Avenue Maxime General. You know the street? Yeah, sure. He looks at you intently. You know all the streets of Paris? I don't know his vibe yet, so I don't know what voice to give him. His question drips with disbelief. You know his kind well, the sort who would refer to you as the Arab and not bat an eyelid. Oh, he's a white guy. It's like, hey, you're brown. It's like, okay, well, first off, screw you. Hi, these people. Yeah, seems hesitant. Well then, let's go. You start the cab. Your client stares out the window as if hypnotized. You watch him in the rearview mirror. His face is familiar to you. His accent too, though you'd never be able to place it. Typical of some rural region, central France perhaps. You take another look. That's it, you've got it. He was a contestant on one of those reality shows where farmers meet women. You've seen him on the show a few weeks before. You'd watched it from your hospital bed with a distracted eye. But something about it had bothered you. The show was a masquerade. Life in the country seemed seen from a very Parisian and cynical perspective, full of scorn and contempt. Okay then, you figured out who I am. That's not a French accent, damn it. His remark and his accent bring you back to the present. Sorry. You recognize me, right? So you can make fun of me now. Make fun of you. He shrugs. Yeah, like those other people do out there. On that there Tweety thing. I'm just gonna have to Americanize this poor bastard. I feel bad for him. Tweety. It takes you a second to realize he's talking about social media. I love that. I don't know what you mean by that. You mean you don't know who I am? You hesitate before answering. Yes, I do. I mean, I do, yes. Some kind of reality show, huh? Exactly. But why do people make fun of you? He heaves a long sigh as if letting off steam. His drawl has become more pronounced. At first, the show was okay, and then I started seeing my face all over TV, on other shows, I mean. And then I found out the internet, not the internet, the internet is laughing at me too. There are those things, I can't remember what they're called. Moms, mams, men, you know, those pictures that move all by themselves on the damn internet. You have no idea what he's talking about. Not politely. So I made myself a Tweety account to go and see what they're saying about me. Call me a virgin and a Nazi. That'll screw my cows too. He looks away as if someone else had spoken the words. They practically die laughing. A farmer who... He doesn't want to finish the sentence. Yesterday I said I'd had it. I called my cousin to keep an eye on my farm and I left for Paris. I'm on my way to see those TV jokers right now. 6 months ago they said if there was any problem whatsoever they'd take care of it. Well, there is a problem. His anger has subsided somewhat. His face is returning to its normal color. What's your plan? Hell yes, I have a plan. I'm going to show up at their office and raise Cain till they listen to me. You're really going to do that? Yeah, that's the plan. He gives an energetic nod of the head. And believe me, they're going to listen. I may just be a plain old farmer, but nobody's going to disrespect me. He squares his shoulders as if to fend off the attacks. Forget it. His eyes half closed, he practically growls the words. There's a palpable air of sadness about him. At first, I told them I didn't want to be on their stupid old show. It wasn't for me. They insisted. They showed me pictures of the women. He lowers his eyes. And then, well, I said yes. Should never have said yes. You pull up to the address he gave you. The studio gates are still closed. You park the cab and cut the engine. Is it closed? You nod yes. It doesn't open till 6. You point to a sign posted near the gates. He sighs. But there'll be hardly anyone here before 9 or 10 o'clock. I don't care. I'll wait. He rummages through his pockets and pulls out a wallet. What are you going to ask them? I want them to apologize. On TV, during the show, in front of everyone. They talk about all the things they changed, all the bits of sentences they cut up and put back together. He fixes his gaze on you, his eyes narrow. You know, I'm not racist. His voice is low and raspy. Don't believe the show. I don't mean what I said. I didn't really say that stuff either. What exactly did you say? You stop short. Nothing. He avoids your gaze, then all at once says, a lot of nonsense. He fixes his gaze on you, visibly moved. I'm not very good at this. He chokes up, gesturing with a hand as if to make it all disappear. When he starts up again, he's on the verge of tears. Anyhow, I'll just wait here until it opens. The passenger pays the fare and exits the cab. You watch him for a minute as he starts his vigil in front of the gates. You notice a newspaper on the back seat. Your last passenger must have left it behind. Or the one before. You grab it and put it away. Could come in handy. Then you start the cab. It's back to the grind. $17. Okay. I mean, as long as that number is in the triple digits, I feel kind of better about things. Him again. Oh, do we want to get him now? I think we can afford it. We've still got time. Let's get him. Let's get him. I mean, let's talk to him. If we even get there. Luxury car drives up next to you, passes and disappears into the night. I didn't read that last part, but he was probably mean to us. Rich people. I'm too drunk to drive. $15. You pull up in front of the address the central office gave you. A crepe joint. Quite a popular one by the looks of the line spilling out the door and onto the sidewalk. You sit for a moment, the door opens, and a group of 30-somethings come into view. All the men and women are dressed alike. Sporty, running shoes, jeans, small shoulder bags. It's like 1 in the morning. What do y'all do? They're officers from the Paris Anti-Crime Squad in plainclothes. Oh, they're undercover cops. If they're even cops. Sounds more like a gang. Like the Neighborhood Watch, but not made up entirely of middle-aged and elderly adults. I say adults like I'm not one. I am fully an adult. But I'm also not a snitch. You sigh. They're brutish types. Ones who like to race, tackle, clobber. Ones who ruin the afternoons you spent wandering around Paris in your teens. After a bit, one of them pulls away from the group and comes over to your taxi. He opens the door and collapses into the back seat. He is stocky and of Asian descent. You can see his muscles through this thick winter clothes. He smells like crepes and hard cider, and his face is bright red. Hey, what's up? I live near Ternes. He chuckles as one of his colleagues rushes over to the taxi and pulls an imaginary gun from his coat. He points to the badge and screams at you with a big smile on his face. What a douchebag! The other cop eventually backs off, and you drive away. Sorry, man, we're having a go-away party for a colleague, and celebrating Christmas, too. No worries. Your passenger smiles, then puts his fingers back on his temples. I drank too much. Shit. I'm a lightweight and they knew it. I think they were trying to loosen my tongue. His behavior changes abruptly like he's just seen a ghost. One question. Yes? Do taxi drivers have some sort of policy or ethics code? Yes, of course. He smiles. Perfect. Because I don't know who to talk to about this, and I don't know, you look like a nice guy. He takes his head in his hands. Fucking shit. I've been lying to my colleagues for years. I joined the squad 8 years ago, and they all think I'm in a relationship with a woman who lives in Strasbourg. And then we're gonna get married. It makes a strange yelping noise, like an air bubble bursting on the surface of a river. And as soon as they got too close to Strasbourg, I start making up stories. We've almost broken up 10 times. I convinced them we're trying to have a kid, but it hasn't worked yet. He sighs. Fuck, saying it loud is just the worst. His eyes are getting shiny. I'm gay. A deep breath. I'm getting married in a few weeks to my boyfriend. Another breath. Longer. Deeper. No one at work knows, not a soul. The next sentences come out in a rush. He holds his breath the whole time. I like men. I've always liked men, but I work in a police station and listen to their comments, to their jokes all day long. When we catch a guy who's never done time before, we tell him briefly what he should expect. We talk about the violence, about the... Finally, he breathes in again. I say we because I'm in on it. Because I can say... No, I'm not personally gay, so I'm not going to say that. I'm going to save that for my queer friends out there. Any time of day without any prompting. The word rolls off my tongue completely naturally. F word, but the 3-letter F word. Or the 6-letter F word. Really depends on how thorough you want to be with being a bigot. He finally looks you in the eye. They're not mean. Who? He shakes his head. My colleagues aren't mean people. They're cops, not mean, just doing the job. He manages to flash a tiny crooked smile. You know what I'd really like? He pauses. I'd like to have them over for dinner. Everybody on the squad. They could see my place. We could play a board game, something normal, you know? And they could meet James. He's your husband-to-be? He takes a moment to think about your question. Yes. Soon. He smiles at last, a genuine smile. Can you believe it? We're getting married in 2 weeks. After living together for 9 years. For 9 years, he's been willing to live in a lie. He understands? It's wild, but yes. He knows I love my job and couldn't possibly do anything else. He loves me enough to let me keep lying. He slowly shakes his head. I can't go on like this. I have to... He freezes. Shit, my head's spinning. I don't feel so good. Why am I telling you all this? Why? He grabs onto the seat in front of him. Hey, can you pull over? You stop immediately. He opens the door and leans the top half of his body out. He throws up. You open your window to air out the greasy smell of fried crepes and the sour scent of cider. Ooh, I like that sour scent of cider. A moment later, the cop sits back up. Okay, I'm all set. I got it all. You start driving again? I'm sorry, really. Breathe. Yeah. You're right. You nod while your passenger moans and quietly says, Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, just be careful, okay? He pauses to catch his breath. Shit, I haven't barfed like that since the last Easter. They made me drink this South African liquor, something with cream and cocoa. Nasty. I can still picture it. I was doing shots where they shouted my name. Karate Kid! Karate Kid! Karate Kid? He seems uncomfortable. It's my nickname on the squad. Karate? Yeah, I was a judo champion. And ooh, that's another thing I don't think I'm allowed to say. God damn. Man, Paris sucks or something. Y'all are... Okay, America's not that much better either. So... He runs his hands along the sides of his body like he's showcasing it to the Home Shopping Network. So, Karate Kid. Yeah, I know, it makes no sense. It's racist. Yeah, a little. At first I didn't say anything. And now, I mean, I'm used to it. He stops suddenly. Everything's spinning again. Can you pull over? A repeat of last time. He opens the door, leans his head out, his torso, his arms. The sound makes your stomach churn, so you stare straight ahead. Can I ask you a question? More puke on the sidewalk. A little inside the vehicle. Go ahead. Fine, shoot. He sits up, prompts you to drive. So, here goes. What should I do? Should I keep on keeping on? Should I confess? Should I invite them to my wedding and surprise them? He pauses. It's a long one. Be straight with me. What would you do if you were me? If you were in my shoes? I think you're being hard on yourself. You're hurting yourself rather than trying to solve the problem. You're not going to change your sexual orientation or leave your husband. Hopefully. Hopefully not. So there aren't a ton of alternatives. You have to tell them. Tell them? Wow, I've got to tell them. He looks at you in the mirror. Can you take me somewhere else, if you don't mind? I don't mind. My colleagues are at a bar. I'll go see them, tell them everything. If I don't do it now, then I'll never do it. A smile of relief spreads across his face. It's not just the alcohol talking? Yes, but I think it's about the 10th time I've gotten wasted this month. You're right, I'm hurting myself. He gives you the new address. I need to tell them now. I feel terrible, but I think I'll feel better if I speak to them directly. His headache is apparently back and has knocked him out a bit. You're used to having drunk people in your cab. Actually, the majority of your Saturday night passengers are drunk. I don't know how to tell him about all this. From the tone of his voice, you can tell he's beginning to panic. I don't think I'm ready. Should I turn around? To turn around. He scans your face, trying to figure out what you're thinking. You think that it's your decision. Good then. I want to go home. He sighs. It's not a good idea to talk to them when my blood alcohol level is so high. Thank you. The remainder of your ride is long. You can see he's having trouble sitting still. Once or twice you sense he's about to break and change his mind. Then, nothing. He appears to calm down and remains completely still, lost in his own head. You keep an eye on the road. You've almost reached your destination. In the back seat, your passenger is almost asleep. You park in front of a small townhouse. There's a light on upstairs. He's still up. I'm gonna talk to James. He looks at you. I don't really remember everything I said, but thanks. He chuckles. I hope this taxi ride wasn't just in my imagination. He pays and gets out of the taxi. You listen to his clumsy footsteps on the cobblestones. He climbs the few steps up to the door. Before he has time to find his keys, the door opens. Warm, soft light floats the street. You drive away. No tip? Come on, bro. I'm kidding. He's wasted. I'm not mad. Another one of the suspects. Do we have the time? We essentially get off at like 5. If I remember correctly. And she's relatively close by. Let's see if we can swing this. Another one of the suspects. This was the, a fire truck flies down a cross street in front of you. Looks like a red meteor. That's right, Claudia Campos. The, doctor, I think it was. Dadgum, she's going. You pick up your next passenger in front of the Perry office of the medical examiner. The morgue. When she gets in, you're surprised. How could she be a suspect? Her face, beautiful and soft, doesn't go with her clothing, her style, or her attitude. She gives you her address and you start driving. Her voice is dry, frank, and she has an accent you have trouble determining. South American, maybe. She seems far away, lost in thought. A few seconds go by and she still hasn't taken so much as a look at you. It's Ma. She seems surprised by her smile and lets it hang there just a second, enjoying the gesture. Thank you. I think I needed that. That accent again, the one you can't place. Long day? In a manner of speaking. Some days are harder than others. Some days take more out of you. They're more demanding than others. A sad smile runs across her face like a shooting star. A second goes by. Slowly, very slowly. Then the meteorite explodes. Your passenger breaks down. Let her cry. Between sobs, you hear her say something. Give me a minute, please. Without a word, without the slightest noise, you slow down. The road passes by slowly, in no hurry. After a moment, she sits up. Can I ask you something? You nod. She takes a deep breath. This may seem like a ridiculous question, or at least a stupid one. Actually, it's completely stupid. You give her an encouraging smile. But I'd like you to hit on me. She blushes and immediately follows up. I mean, not for real, just for play. Like we're at a bar. Like you want to buy me a drink. She shakes her head. Forget it, it's stupid. Totally stupid. Except... I'll boost you up. I got you, sis. Sure. A moment of silence. She seems surprised. Really? Yes. You don't mind? I thought you would refuse. I just have a few rules, if you don't mind. First, I don't want to talk about Argentina, my home, my parents. Avoid the subject. She pauses. Does that work for you? You nod. Good. I should write that down. I don't know. Nothing about her origins. Got it. Second, I don't want to talk about work. I'm a medical examiner. You know what that is? Yes. I cut open dead bodies. I take out bullets, tumors, cirrhosis-filled livers. At first, people are always fascinated, but they quickly get disgusted. So nothing about work. Let's start, if you're ready. You nod. We're in a bar. It's not very late. Not very late, but we're the only ones there. I'm alone at the bar, finishing a drink. I get up to leave. Silence. Please go ahead. Hitting on a passenger. This is definitely a first. You gotta find a good line, something that'll set the tone. This is the hardest the game's ever been. Bold. I like people who drink alone. They always seem so confident. She giggles. It's often just for show. Her voice is softer, her accent stronger. Confidence is always just a facade. True. She sits up a little and points to the imaginary bar next to her. Buy me a drink? Of course. How about a little game? You look like a whiskey van to me. Something strong yet subtle. She tucks a little bit of hair behind her ear. I could be mistaken, of course. And what about me? What is my kind of drink? My kind of drink. I wish. I don't want to get this wrong. Do I cheat? No, it's not worth it. It's not worth my credibility just to hit on this woman correctly. Drink. Something subtle. What do you mean? You want something special. You want to be surprised by life. She bursts out laughing. Now, aren't you good at this game? She gets back at the character. Yes, that's exactly it. You read me like a book. Yes! Good work, everyone. Good work. Yes, that's exactly it. That's it, exactly. You read me like a book. She stares at you. Something about her posture in the backseat is different. Don't you think time goes by too slowly? I do. We wait, we hold on, we get bored. I'd like it all to go faster, for things to speed up. She relaxes, giggles. She's letting go. She looks at you expectantly. I like the way you laugh. You do. That's another compliment. It's true. Thank you. She closes her eyes and stays that way for a little while. A smile settles onto her face, a warm, natural, and uncontrolled smile. Thank you. You were perfect. Unusually kind. She nods slowly. A few charming words. I think I got what I wanted. Your passenger sighs contentedly. She seems happy, relieved. You pull up in front of the address she gave you. You're strange. Oh, what's that? There's something different about you. You're not like other men, as if... She hands you her fare and slips you a tip. Don't refuse it. Please, it means something to me. You nod. I hope to run into you again. You shiver. One last smile. Goodbye. She gets out of the cab. You watch her until she disappears into her building. 33 euros. I love this game. The storytelling of this game is it's almost melancholic at times. It's human, right? It feels human. It feels like you're talking to people, and people have so many. Each individual person has varied issues in their heart, and in their soul. I love this game. Daggum, there is no one here. Are there any more suspects? We're halfway down on gas, but we're almost done with the shift, I think. I want to read the newspaper, see if we can fetch any clues out of that before we end the day. You pull a newspaper out of your glove compartment and start leafing through it. Eventually, something grabs your eye. It's a quite involved article about the infamous police leaks affair. Who, why, and how all that confidential data was released to the public. The Justice Department is now looking at corrupt and violent cops who are known to be out of line. Concerned associations applaud how transparent they're being. Yet the more you read, the more you get the impression the journalist does not agree with their methods. You turn the page and stop. You've read about a third of the newspaper. And keep reading. You stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw something. It's a short article mentioning the strike led by a handful of employees at Confiseries du Marais, a luxury candy brand. Nestle? The employees demand better wages. The owners, the Groupe Diamant, are threatening to relocate their factories abroad. No, so it is Nestle. You only have a third left to read. Read the whole thing. We're here. We're at the end of our day anyway. As soon as you get to the page, you stop. Your instinct tells you to look at. It's a photo of an important French athlete, well-known tennis player. He's just been arrested in Switzerland for embezzling millions of euros in image reproduction rights. You sigh. You shut the paper. It'll end up in the trash tonight. If you remember, it's there. Otherwise, it'll spend the rest of its days in your glove compartment. We actually managed to still have just a little bit of a day, but overtime isn't canon, which means you don't really get paid more if your time goes over. I think that's enough for today. Let's go home. Analyze the case files. We got some information. I don't think it's Claudia. I do not think it could be Claudia. And not just because I think she's cute. I don't know, because someone like that kills someone? And of course, the secretly gay cop, whose name I forget because the names are non-American and I'm bad at non-American names. You now know more about your clients. You've met Denny. Dennis knew you'd recognize him. You made $66 today. We technically made a loss, but you know, it's fine. Dennis tried to explain why he's not racist. You have met Perrault. That's right, Perrault. Perrault told you he was gay. Can we? Okay. We knew all this. We were just here. At the foot of your front door, just behind a drain pipe, you notice an envelope. It's thick and heavy. You can just make out your name, written in thick black marker on the front. Your real name. You take a deep breath and go inside. In the envelope, you find more information, just as Busset promised. Is it Busset or is it Busset? I don't know if it's French. Busset is funnier to me. You lay them on the table. You take a few minutes to update your board with your new clues. A bus goes by, making the walls shake. You crack your knuckles and get to work. Picture of crime scene 4 we got from Busset just a day. Nope, if I hold right click, it goes to the end of the day. That's not what we want. Can I open it? I want to know more. Police report on victim 1. And we don't have enough time to research all that today. We'll take care of that tomorrow. Go over the crime scene again. Victim 3 was known to have tortured prisoners. I don't know. Oh, victim 3 tortured prisoners. He was part of the junta, part of the process up there. So it might have something to do with the, and also has something to do with Time Is Up, which was a sort of dog whistle for them. Unfortunately, that's 3 marks. And, yeah, link to the process, specifically the Time Is Up message. Oh, no. Victim 3 was the colonel of the junta, the process. He was known to have tortured prisoners, and Time Is Up was used as a dog whistle against... What can I reach? dog whistle against those people. And unfortunately, she lost her parents to the junta. Maybe... Okay, the killer's height is either over 1.80 m or under 1.80 m. Thanks. There was a spent bullet casing. Can we get more information? Homeless man seen around crime scene 2 and 3. Interesting. I don't know if that's enough to pin Erve on anything, though. And we haven't seen Paul yet. We should try and grab Paul. We got, like, no information about Pyro. Granted, all this stuff is stuff we did not get from that conversation itself. We got it from $250 of information. Which we're going to need more of at some point. Killer fought with victim 1. Interesting. No sign of violence on victim 3. And since this all seems to be like victim 3 type stuff, I'll put it over there. Let's see. Picture of crime scene 4 had a spent bullet casing. Death of execution. The killer fought with victim 1. I think that is connected to victim 1. Killer left message on chalk of first 3 crime scenes. Again, we don't have enough to make any assumptions, really. Galathia's got a lot of clues against her, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean she's guilty. At that point, you could just find any Argentinian woman with a past with the junta and be like, you're the killer. And I imagine that number is more than 0. We're going to end the night here, end this session. This session of play, this chapter in our story, as our guy goes to sleep. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You pull open the sofa bed, which unfolds with an unpleasant creak. You collapse onto the mattress. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. Your brain is running at full speed, your body aches, and you are in pain. You can tell you need to get more sleep. You glance at your investigation board. Your investigation is taking shape. Little by little. Who'd have thought? If only Bussa would give you a little more time. You shake your head and your mind wanders for a second. A second later, you're asleep.